Hi everyone, Jen here just to go over your readability slash Lexile assignment for our course. I'm hoping that you had some time to look over the information in Module 6, which gives you a lot of background about what a Lexile is. But I'm just going to do a quick short mini lecture to tell you about Lexiles and then explain your project to you. So many of you may have had experience with Lexile levels in the past, but I'm also finding that there's many teachers who are unaware of what a Lexile is or how a Lexile is developed and how a Lexile impacts a student's reading groups or their independent reading selections. So a Lexile is actually a brand name. Kind of like when we go to a restaurant and we order a Coke and they say, I'm sorry, we have Pepsi. We mean a Coke is a soda or a Band-Aid is a bandage. We tend to use brand names to label things. A Lexile level is simply a readability level. So if you've ever heard of a readability level, there's many different scales that will calculate readability, but a Lexile is a proprietary company and a proprietary model that assigns Lexile levels to books and then helps you to assign a Lexile level to a student in your classroom for appropriate selection of books. So again, it's a numeric representation of an individual's reading ability or a text readability. So the text readability, a Lexile level, will always be a number followed by an L. So a reader has a Lexile and then a book has a Lexile. So for example, a book might be at a Lexile of 340L. That means that a student who took an assessment and it shows that their Lexile level is 240 up to 390 could read that book. We go to 100 Lexile points below and 50 above as kind of our sweet spot for selection. And you'll see through looking at the videos and the PowerPoints and all of the information that Lexile levels also convert to a standardized or a grade and age level equivalency. So I just wanted to show you that so you knew what a Lexile actually was. Lexile.com is one of the websites that you will be exploring this week. This video does a much better job of explaining what a Lexile is than I can, but I highly suggest that you take a look at this video. The one thing that I want to point out is, while a Lexile is a sweet spot, it only takes into consideration how difficult or simple the text is to read for a student. It does not take into consideration the comprehension or the mental maturity level that a student may need in order to process that information. And that's really what this project is about. Making sure that while we may know the Lexile of a book, do we know the complexity of the text? Whether it be too simple, the concepts and themes of the book, or is it too difficult or mature for a select group of students, or is it in that right spot, that zone of proximal development according to Vygotsky? So Lexile measures are only as good as the teacher who understands them. So I want you to understand that they are very important tools to us as educators, those of us who are reading teachers, in particular, classroom teachers who have classroom libraries, but they are only a portion of the equation. But we do have many assessments out there that will give a Lexile level. So my next slide is going to show you one assessment that we use in my school district, which is called AimsWeb. If anybody has ever used AimsWeb before, you can see that we have Lexile levels built right into our AimsWeb testing. So after a student takes their AimsWeb, which is a benchmark assessment, it will give them a Lexile level. So my screen might be in the way right now. but this PowerPoint will be available without my video for you to look at. And you can see this first student right here. When I come across, I'm not going to really get into their scores right now, but I can see that this first student has a Lexile of 480L. That tells me that they can read, not necessarily comprehend, but they can read all the way down to a 380, which would be their independent, all the way down into their independent level without getting too low, up to, I have to do a little math, a 530 Lexile level. We have conversion charts that tell you what Lexile meets up with what grade level, so I don't want you to think that that's some mystery. But every student who takes a measure that reports out a Lexile will get a Lexile level. And your Lexile should grow as your reading develops and becomes better. And then your Lexile should even out once you are at the point that you are a mature conventional reader. Almost every textbook, almost every piece of reading, websites that produce reading that you can use for free in your classroom, all have a Lexile level attached to them. And again, this is a proprietary model that came from this Lexile company. It's actually branded. So one of the most popular ways that you can get a Lexile level is through an SRI or a Scholastic Reading Inventory. Scholastic was one of the first companies to really embrace Lexiles and to allow teachers to give a measure that would then give them a Lexile that they could then instruct using online materials, and the student can move through Lexile levels and appropriate text. But I will tell you, if you use MAP, AimsWeb, Dibbles, Cadence, all of those do give you Lexile levels. If you use Lexia, you will also get them as well. And there's a lot of conversion charts out there. But again, what I want you to understand, a Lexile level is computed based on complexity of text, meaning syntax, sentence usage, number of words, length of sentence. It's this giant mathematical equation. And it's believed that that mathematical equation that gives you the Lexile should support appropriate comprehension. It's just not always that the text is appropriate for the child. And that's what this project is really about. So again, you can take a look at more of this information in the module. So this is what your assignment is. You are going to pick 10 books. These can be any 10 books that you choose, but you're going to pick one overall grade level. The grade level should be a grade level where children can read. So I always say grade 1 and above, because grade K isn't even mandated by the state of Pennsylvania unless you enroll your child in kindergarten. So kindergarten readers are commonplace right now. They're not really an anomaly because we have such great curriculum in kindergarten. But for this assignment, I always tell people to stay away from kindergarten, as they may have a hard press to find books that fit within the assignment. So you're going to pick a grade level first, anywhere from first grade, I would say up through 12th grade. And then you're going to pick 10 books at that grade level that you would think would be appropriate for the student to read. Not for you to read to the student, but for the student to read to themselves. You can use knowledge from your classroom. You can use knowledge from childhood books that you read. You can use knowledge from middle school books, high school books. It really doesn't matter, but you do have to pick that overall grade level. And then you're going to find 10 books. I don't care what the Lexile is yet. I want you to think of 10 books that you would like students at that grade level to read. I'm going to ask you to stay away from guided readers or books that have been published specifically for a reading program. So something like a geode that you might have in your classroom right now, or a Foundations reader. Please do not use those books. I want you to find mass published books. So think of novels that you read. Think of books that students check out of the library in the primary grades, Frog and Toad, Elephant and Piggy, maybe the Arthur series, Magic Tree House. Those are just some examples. So you would be thinking of 10 of those titles that you would use at a grade level. So the first part of this is just making sure that you have 10 books that are mass published and are not written with specific controlled language for a reading curriculum. Then what you're going to do is you are going to find the readability level for each one of these books. And I'm going to show you very briefly how you're going to do that. And then the last part of this assignment, you will list where you got the book from, the Lexile level from. Lexile.com is probably your best resource. And then you will do just a very brief reflection on what the Lexile levels revealed for you. Is it something you think you could use in your classroom? What do you find as a benefit of a Lexile level? And what do you find as a potential pitfall? So these are the two resources that I'm going to suggest that you use for this project. This is the top resource, Lexile.com for sure. You can plug in almost any book on Lexile.com and it will give you the Lexile level of that book. Scholastic Book Wizard is another really, really nice one. And I actually tell parents to use this one quite often to help their children shop for books before they go to the library. Scholastic Book Wizard will also give you a guided reading level on the book and also a grade level equivalency. But you're going to find the grade level equivalency a little bit differently for me. Then there are some of these other resources that are out there where you can put in chunks of text and it will spit out a readability level for you. I think they're a bit antiquated as most books have gone through the Lexile.com process to be Lexiled at this point. I tell people if they find a book and they can't find a Lexile level on it, change the book. We want to work smarter, not harder. So again, Lexile.com is really going to be your best choice for Lexiling your book. The Lexile level correlation chart is built into the assignment, and I will show you that as well. So this is the form that you are going to use. You will put your name up at the top, obviously, and then you will pick one proposed grade level for instruction. That means what grade level of students would you use this book for? And it is absolutely fine if your grade level for instruction does not match the Lexiles. In fact, I love that. That's kind of one of those aha moments. So I gave you an example right here. And if you were on my original Zoom, you may have heard my little spiel about this. This is the book The Giver by Lois Lowry. If you don't know this book, I invite you to Google it. It has some very, very heavy, complex themes that are probably most appropriate for upper middle school into high school. However, it Lexiles at a 760L. And when we put that up against a conversion chart, that is a fourth grade equivalency. Could a fourth grader read this book? Sure. Could a fourth grader understand and conceptualize the themes in this book? Most likely not. So that is why teacher discretion really needs to be partnered with a Lexile level. Lexile will tell you whether or not they could read it, but then that level or that teacher judgment is going to tell you whether or not it's appropriate for a student to read on their own or read instructionally with you in a small group reading setting or a book club type of or literature circle type of thing. So when you do this assignment, you're going to use this graphic right here. It's as simple as this. Please take out my first line. I don't want that there. I just put that there as an example for you. If you go into assignments right now, you will see this information there for you. So I just wanted to let you know that. So I'm going to be making a second video and I will be posting that, and that will show you how to find a Lexile level. So this was just an overview of how to complete the assignment. As always, reach out with any questions, and you can look forward to a second video that shows you how to actually use Lexile.com to find books. All right, I'll see you on the next video. Bye.